nationwide change be next? Governor Gavin Newsom banded the punishment that disappropriated harmed Black, Latino, disabled, and low-income students. More than a decade ago, when he was a teacher and social counselor, A.S.M.R was called into a Los Angeles classroom to support a student in a disciplinary situation. A Black girl had become humming in one of the white colleagues' classes. His fellow teacher, Whitaker, said, had asked the student to stop humming to no avail. Eventually, the student was recommended for suspension for defiance, a broad subject category that under the California Education Code meant a student disrupt school activities or otherwise willfully defied the valid authority of a teacher, administrators, and other school officials. Whitaker later learned the girl hummed to regular her ADHD. Years later, in 2021, Whitaker found himself in a similar situation. He had since become the senior policy counsel of ACLU of Southern California and was asked by the Black family to intervene at a different school where the young relative had been disciplined for drumming at his desk. The school's initial response was still punitive. Whitaker said, with some conversation we were able to redirect. By then, Whitaker could point to examples that showed officials didn't need to resort to punishment when a student's behavior appeared disruptive. Several California districts, including Los Angeles Unified, had banned willful defiance suspensions. The school, he said, had social worker who could talk and to support the student when the end avoided suspension. At least 25 states and the District of Columbia allowed schools to suspend students. Willful defiance, according to the law, Atlas Project's policy surveillance portal. This week, California became the first state in the U.S. to ban such suspension for all students, expanding a pre-existing ban on the disciplinary practice for students in grade kindergarten through 8th grade. The new law, signed by the Governor Gavin Newsom last Sunday, could represent a model for how other states approach reforming disciplinary practices, which is disproportionation affect Black and Latino students, as well those with disabilities and those from low-income backgrounds. Black students accounted for 14% of willful defiance suspensions by the end of 2021 to 2022 school year, even as they made up 5% of students across the state, according to data from California Department of Education. Latino students, who account for 55% of students in California, received 57% of willful defiance suspensions. Latino boys in particular, who make up 29% of students, accounted for 43% of defiance suspensions. Rachel Pereira, a fellow at the Brookings Institution Brown Center on Education Policy, said California's decision to ban defiance suspension is an acknowledgement that the criteria for this kind of suspension is overly broad. The more discretion educators have, she added, the more likely implicit and explicit bias will influence how they punish students. away from suspensions as a disciplinary practice. Research shows that suspensions don't improve the climate inside their classroom and instead hurt children who those critical instructions time. She said that suspensions bans are effective towards reducing discipline disparities in schools when they are paired with support resources, such as counseling that allows for mediated conversations to get at the root cause of so-called misbehavior. A decade before Nimson ban a willful defiant suspension, Los Angeles Unified had eliminated the practice for all students. The district had also incorporated behavior support. Researchers at the University of Southern California Rosier School of Education found that 6 years after such suspension ended, the racial disparities reduced. Black students were still punished at a higher rate, but the gap in suspension between whites and black students narrowed. Latino students were suspended at similar rates to white and Asian students. The combination of reforms and alternatives to discipline has worked beyond California. In Chicago, after the district limited suspensions use and invested in restorative justice program, researchers found that schools that had alternative to suspension showed an 18% decline in out-of-school suspensions. Over the course of a decade, black boys in particular saw a rise in both schools' attendance and math scores. It's a two-part solution, Whitaker of A.S.M.R of Southern California said. It's taking away the ability to remove students from trivial reasons, and the second is increasing the amount of support. Restorative justice, more counselors, more school psychologists, and social service workers who can actually redirect the behavior and meet the needs of the student. An entrenched ideology of zero tolerance for misbehavior still exists among teachers and administrators, even as the research suggests such logic is harmful. That makes it difficult to predict whether California's latest ban will be influenced on an outliner for the rest of the country. In some parts of the country, such as Missouri and Mississippi, harsh disciplinary practices, including corporal punishment, persists. The Brookings instructions found that 3/4 of U.S. schools still allow educators to punish students for defiance. The pandemic has complicated the pursuit of school discipline reform. A rise in misbehavior cases as students return to school after the quarantine period prompted at least 8 states, such as Nevada, Kentucky, and North Carolina, to consider harsher punishments practices. In February, a federal appeals court ruled the law in South Carolina to allow elementary, middle, and high school students to be criminally charged for cursing and other acts of disorderly conduct were unconstitutionally vague and gave unbridled discretion to enforcers. The opinion noted that between 2015 and 2020, law enforcement charged black kids with disorderly conduct and several times the rate of the white kids. Beatty has said that those beliefs that punishment will curtail misbehavior and keep students in order are hard to change. That doesn't questions, please feel free to go ahead and put your comments down below. Don't forget to subscribe and like my video. Thank you. Okay guys, the 30-year fixed mortgage rate just hit 8% for the first time in 2000 as Treasury yields soar. Alright guys, so let's see what this article is talking about. The average rate on the popular 30-year fixed mortgage rate hits 8% Wednesday morning, according to Mortgage News Daily. That is the highest level since mid-2000. The milestone came as bond yields soared to level not seen since 2007. Mortgage rates follow closely the yield on the 10-year U.S. Treasury. Rates rose sharply this week and last week as investor digests more reads on the economy. On Wednesday, it was housing starts with rose in September, though not as much as expected according to the U.S. Census Bureau. Building permits and indicators of future construction fell, but by a less than expected amount. Last week, retail sales came in far higher than expected, creating more uncertainty over the Federal Reserve long-term plan. These high rates cause mortgage demand to plummet as applications fell nearly 7% last week from the previous week, according to the Mortgage Bankers Association. Here's another milestone that seemed extreme several shortage months ago. And Matthew Graham, Chief Operating Officer of Mortgage News Daily. The fact is that many borrowers have already seen rates over 8%. That said, many borrowers are still seeing rates in sevens due to buy downs and discount points. The home builders are using buy downs to help consumers afford their homes. They do this through their mortgage subsidiaries. While they had used the financing tool very sparingly in the past, it is now the top incentive among builders according to industry resources. Although our mortgage company has been offering slightly below market rate loans most of this cycle just to be competitive, the full point buy down for the 30-year life of the loan we've been referring to recently as a builder incentive is not something we have done in previous cycles, at least not on the board majority basis we are doing so today. You might have found it on select homes in the past on extremely limited basis, said a spokesperson from D.R. Horton, the nation's largest home builder. The average rate on the 30-year fixed was low as 3% just 2 years ago. To put it into perspective, a buyer purchasing a $400,000 home with a 20% down payment would have monthly payments today of nearly $1,000 more than it would have been 2 years ago. That's outrageous, guys. This is really ridiculous. So that's all for my story on this situation. 8% is really high. This is on a 30-year fixed mortgage. As of today, this is the new rate, basically. So those that are wanting to purchase a home, you're going to be actually purchasing a home now at a higher percentage. So that's a new thing going on now. my next article with a new California law that moves to restrict synthetic turf over health concerns. Once it was hauled as a drought fix, but now it actually is going to be restricted. So we're talking about California. They're going to restrict the synthetic turf due to health concerns. Okay, Governor Calvin Newsom last week passed on a chance to limit the use of so-called forever chemicals in legions of plastic products when he vetoed a bill that would have banned them in synthetic lawns. His veto of an environmental bill that overwhelmingly passed the legislature underscores California convoluted guidance on the plastic turf that some homeowners, schools, and businesses use in place of grass in a state accustomed to drought. Less than a decade ago, Governor Jerry Brown signed a law prohibiting cities and counties from banning synthetic grass. At this time, the state was in the middle of a crippling drought, and fake lawns were thought to be helpful in saving water. But this year, Democrats and the legislators went in a different direction, proposing bills that would discourage synthetic turf. They're worried about health risks created by the chemicals presented in the lawns, including perfluoroalkyl polyfluoroalkyl substance, also known as PFAS chemicals. Some chemicals in the crumb rubber base of synthetic turf, such as bisphenol A, commonly known as BPA, can leach out during extreme heat. These chemicals have been linked to various chronic diseases, including cancer, diabetes, and neurological impairments. I apologize. Diane Wallachy, a retired nurse in San Diego, is among the Californians who've grown concerned about the neighbors' synthetic lawns. She joined a group called Safe Healthy Playing Fields to advocate against their use. It's staggering in the death of Minituia involved in this product. It's just a lot of plastic with a lot of chemical leaching from it, Wilkie said. One of the bills Newsom signed, for instance, undoes the Brown-era law and allows cities and counties to again ban artificial turf. Some California cities have already begun moving to prohibited fake lawns, including Millbrae in San Mateo County and San Marino in Los Angeles County. Emergency research is making it clear that artificial turf poses an environmental threat to its lack of recyclability and presence of toxins, such as lead and PFAS, said State Senator Ben Allen, the Redondo Beach Democrat who authorized the bill. With the new law, local government will again be able to regulate artificial turf in a way to both protect our environment in the face of a drought and climate change, but also by preventing further contribution to our recycling challenge and toxic runoff, he said. Manufacturers of synthetic turf say they are working to address concerns about the materials for this use, although for the most part they have been unable to entirely remove PFAS. Some have switched to sand and other safer products in an attempt to replace rubber crumb. Others members are already working with existing customers, state and local governments to demonstrate the continued safety of our product and committed to ensure a statement to Cal Matters. Newsom is vetoing the PFAS chemical bill, wrote that he strongly supports the intent of legislation, but he was concerned that the state was not positioned to ensure its effectiveness. The bill does not identify or require any regulatory agency to determine compliance with or enforce the proposed statute, he wrote in his veto message. He also wrote that he's directing his administration to consult with lawmakers on alternative approaches to regulating the use of these harmful chemicals in consumer products, suggesting the issue could return in the next legislative year. Chemical risk from fake lawns. Synthetic turf is a man-made, non-living replacement of turf grass that requires little water or maintenance. The grass blades are made of fibers such as nylon or plastic, while the base is typically a crumb rubber made from tires, plastic pellets, or sand. Synthetic grass usually contains PFAS chemicals, according to the Environmental Protection Agency. PFA chemicals are known carcinogens which can interfere with hormones, reproduction, immunity, and cause development delays in children. Adam Smith, an associate professor of environmental engineering at the University of Southern California, said, although research is still being done to understand fully what the health implications of the chemicals are, current research suggests that PFAS is absolutely bad for human health. Certainly, in terms of drought, synthetic turf seems great, but there's all of these downsides, Smith said. According to experts, these chemicals can enter the human body through contact with skin, by breathing the particles in or through water sources, especially groundwater sources, that can get contaminated during leaching. Microplastic from grass bladings and crumbs can also leach into groundwater and freshwater bodies. These molecules are actually entering the food chain in the ocean, and they're in our system. They're in our blood. They're in our muscle, said Sylvia Earle, a marine life advocate and former chief scientist at the National Organic and Atmospheric Administration. We've changed nature of our nature through actions that we've taken. Now they're coming back to haunt us. At what temperature is it at risk? Researchers by the National Toxicology Program show that high heat can cause chemicals to leach out of the crumb rubber base of synthetic turf, which is made of recycled tires. These leach chemicals are known to cause cell death in humans. Synthetic turf, like other artificial surfaces, including asphalt and pavement, heats up by several degrees more than living lawns, according to Kelly Turner, Associate Director of UCLA Luskin Center for Innovation Heat Equity Initiative. The material can trap heat and radiate back slowly, staying warm for longer periods of time. It is one of the hottest surface materials, she said. It is hotter than asphalt. Janice Harton, horticultural expert at UC Extension in Los Angeles, measured various types of surface in Palm Springs, California, where air temperatures around 100 Fahrenheit are common during the summer. On days around 100 Fahrenheit or more, she reported temperatures of synthetic turf and other artificial substance can reach about 175 Fahrenheit. Alternative approaches. Artin said the best alternative to any artificial surfaces are living plants. We want to increase the population of our habitat, pollinators, and plant climate resilience. Plants that provide shade, buffer sun exposure, provide windbreakers, help reduce stormwater runoffs, and reduce soil and water erosion. And you can't do that with synthetic grass, she said. There are several drought-friendly approaches to landscaping, including warm season grasses, which a Bermuda grass and a buffalo grass, or doing away with grass altogether and planting trees or drought-resilient varieties of plants that are endemic to California. Artin said that even though plants require water and maintenance, their cooling benefits and ecosystem benefits go far beyond the water savings one can get through synthetic turf. You have a choice, she said. What we plan today is going to maximize society and urban ecosystem benefits by the time that you are in the later years. So guys, this is actually my last article